Hello. Do you guys know the audio's echoing? Do you have the same effect?
Somebody must have their phone and monitor on.
It was Mayor Bratcher, but now she's got it muted and the feedback has stopped.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
it
you.
is.
Well, you might want to adjust your
Thank you. Go ahead. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Davis. Good morning. I'll now call the roll. City of Avondale, Councilmember White.
Present.
City of Buckeye, Councilmember Berry. Okay. City of Chandler, Councilmember Harris.
There's a really big echo coming from the boardroom.
No, I think it's coming from BG's. Every time her microphone goes on, we hear the echo.
Thank you, members of the board. We're working here with IT to try to address it.
Mute everybody real quick. And then you use this one to communicate. Start your computer boot.
Yes.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Mayor Bratcher, if you might keep your microphone on silent or mute, it would be helpful.
Yeah, it's coming from here. Okay. City of Chandler, Councilmember Harris. City of El Mirage, Councilmember Dorsey.
present.
I think we're good.
Town of Fountain Hills, Councilmember McMahon.
Present.
Town of Gilbert, Councilmember Buckland.
Here.
City of Glendale, Councilmember Tomachov.
Here.
City of Goodyear, Councilmember Campbell.
Here.
Maricopa County Supervisor Gallardo, sorry. City of Mesa.
Here, I'm
Council-
sorry.
Oh, okay.
I
you.
apologize. I had it on mute. I apologize. This is Supervisor Steve Gallardo with Maricopa County. I'm here.
Thank you. City of Mesa, Councilmember Herrera.
Here.
City of Peoria, Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
City of Phoenix, Councilmember Pastor.
She's here.
Okay. Town of Queen Creek, Councilmember Brown.
Good morning, I'm here.
City of Scottsdale, Councilmember McAllen.
Present.
City of Surprise, Vice Mayor Greenberg.
Here. Who told you
City of
that?
Tempe. Thank you. City of Tempe, Councilmember Adams.
Here.
City of Tolleson, Vice Mayor Davis.
Present.
Town of Wickenburg, Mayor Bratcher.
Present.
Thank you. Town of Youngberg, Mayor Lavault.
Yes, I'm here.
Great, thank you.
This is Mayor Bratcher. I'm going to. Something's not right. I'm going to try to click back in.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I think we may proceed.
Thank you very much. If a committee member would like to ask a question or make a comment during the meeting, please type your comment in the box and it will be read aloud and answered. All meeting attendees, please mute your computer, microphone, or phone. Number 1 is public comment. The public will be provided with an opportunity at this time to address the committees on non-agenda items and all agenda items for the joint meeting agendas. Up to 3 minutes will be provided per speaker unless the chair allows more at their discretion. A total of 15 minutes for all speakers will be provided. Do we have any speakers today?
No, ma'am, there are none today.
Okay, thank you. Number 2 is the Chief Executive Officer's report. Jessica Millard will now provide her Chief Executive Officer's report. I just call her Jessica all the time.
That works. That certainly works for me. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Welcome to our first board meeting of 2026. Welcome back to the RPTA board. Queen Creek Council Member Jeff Brown. I see you joining us virtually, Council Member Brown. Happy to have you back serving on the board. Thank you for your service. I would like to give you a little bit of an update on things we've been working on since we last came together in November. A lot of some of the highlight items today are really focused on engaging with the community. Our bus network redesign is well underway. Valley Metro staff and contractors are working in close partnership with the staff from our member communities. And we completed the first phase of our bus network redesign public engagement in the fall. We received over 4,500 surveys and 500 individual comments. This was really a conversation with our riders about how the service is or isn't working for them so that we can incorporate that into our redesign. Within the construct of our new public engagement plan that was shared with this board last year, we're conducting more engagement opportunities where our riders and members of the community are. That included on-system pop-up events, including 34 pop-up events. We often partnered with local businesses like coffee shops to host events near and on the system. We also conducted open houses and listening sessions for our bus operators. We are deepening in our engagement with our frontline team. They are the experts who are out there delivering our service every day, and their input matters. We also conducted focus groups to get a deeper dive. And next steps for our engagement for bus network redesign will include board and member city conversations. Look for that in 2026. And again, we have a committee of member city staff that's working closely with the team on this project. And we'll be taking that route specific feedback and creating concepts for the public to provide input on. We are working toward a spring 2027 implementation date for the bus network redesign. Next month, Michael Eshelman, our Deputy Chief of Service Planning, will be back to the board with an update on the bus network redesign. We also celebrated the holidays quite.
Jessica, can I just interrupt you
Yes,
for a
ma'am.
second? On the surveys, can we have like the surveys, a comparison from like last year surveys to this year, like a graph that shows how we're doing?
Yeah, so this engagement was specific to the bus network redesign. So it's really the first of its kind.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be the first time in 20 years that we've had a comprehensive conversation with
Okay.
the community about bus service. So some of those conversations have been reintroducing ourselves to the community
Sure.
and really getting their input. And that's why this is going to be a multi-phase approach, but we're going to keep you posted along the way.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Did you say 20 years?
20 years.
I did.
Okay.
I did. We've had a number of service changes and we engage the public. Historically, we've conducted service changes twice a year. We're now conducting some service changes up to 4 times a year, most of them minor changes. Think adjusting running time so that we can achieve better on-time performance. And we've made great strides with our service performance in this fashion. But this is a comprehensive look at the whole system. So rather than focusing on a subset of routes or extending a route to a new activity center, we're looking at the whole thing. Yeah, and this really helps support the rollout and the movement toward Prop 479, which I'll talk about in just a minute.
I think that's pretty important considering it's 20 years. Valley has
Yeah.
passed. I don't even know which one it is. Well, considering the growth the Valley has had in the last, in my lifetime, I can't imagine it's just in 20 years. There's a million, 2, 3, 4 million more people probably. I don't even
Yeah,
know.
and there have been changes, just not that comprehensive look at the entire system. And it's important to remember that it is a system. And while someone might use one route for their daily travel, it might take multiple routes to reach their destination. So how that system works together matters greatly.
Thank you.
Jessica, I relate this to the west side design or corridor that MAG is doing. And I'm not sure if I'm really naming it correctly, but that's like the bus network, looking at the network and where the network is and how the network's moving along with mainly Phoenix, who manages but coordinates how we move seamlessly.
Right. The idea is to facilitate seamless flow on transit across the region, whether you're starting in the West Valley and ending up in Phoenix or traversing the entire valley. And that's where we think that we have some work to do. We've got a strong network of routes on a grid system. Traveling between them can be challenging. Even in the best of weather like we're having right now, but we're looking at the connections between them. That's why engaging with our communities is a huge part of this process. And then we'll also look at how kind of the finer details, like how we actually build up those schedules so that customers can, as seamlessly as possible, transfer. And that's what Michael's going to be back talking about in February.
I have one more question. Would this redesign also include future light rail?
No, this is explicitly, thank you for that question, Madam Chair, members of the board. The bus network redesign is explicitly focused on bus service to the exclusion of light rail. This also does not include high capacity bus projects such as bus rapid transit. So this is really the underlying framework of the transit system outside of those high capacity routes. And I think it's important to remember that every day, 70% of Valley Metro riders are getting on board bus.
Okay, I get that. I understand it. I'm assuming there will be one in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, Council Member.
I would say 70% of the riders are on the bus because there's not equitable access to the light rail, particularly in the West Valley, but that's all.
Thank you, Council Member. Where we do have light rail, we did have a number of wonderful celebrations that I want to mention. Again, through the lens of engaging with the community and meeting the people where we are. The weekend of December 12th, we hosted the Mesa Santa Express in coordination with Mary on Main. This is a wonderful event. We've hosted it for a number of years, very successful. I'm very grateful for the dedication and the work of our community engagement team and our many volunteers from across not just Valley Metro, but our member communities who allowed us to deliver these wonderful celebrations. Not to be outdone, over on the Beeline, we also celebrated with Santa at the Thelda Williams Transit Center and Metro Parkway Station on December 7th. We had members of the community join us. The man in red himself made a guest appearance. And we also conducted our first, what I'd like to think of as the first annual holiday fiesta on Central on December 19th. This was a wonderful event. We had over 600 members of the community on that Friday evening celebrate with us. We had vendors that featured some of the many small businesses on the South Central corridor and allowed people like me to finish up some of that last minute holiday shopping with those small businesses and food vendors. We've been looking forward to this event for a long time. Last year, at the urge of council, we completed some finished paving and signage and lighting to welcome shoppers back to South Central, even while we were completing construction on the South Central extension. And now that it has been open for 7 months, we are glad that our southernmost station at Central and Baseline is not only the third busiest station in our system already, but this is a hub of activity and a gathering place for the community. We also made national headlines in the month of December. The American Public Transit Association highlighted transit systems that are experiencing high ridership. Valley Metro ranked in the top 5 for ridership growth nationally from mid-size agencies like ours. This story highlighted the 8% ridership growth that occurred on the Valley Metro system between fall 2023 and 2024. They're pulling from National Transit Database data, so those numbers are a little bit in the rears, but I am pleased to tell you we have 7.3% ridership growth in the period from 2024 to 2025. This growth reflects the more reliable service that our riders are experiencing across the bus and rail systems, service frequency improvements, major investments in momentum across the system, and our continued focus on customer safety, security, and rider experience. So we are pleased to be holding our place in line among the top peers across the industry. I also want to provide an update on an item coming to this board in the month of February. So do a little bit of foreshadowing. Valley Metro has been moving through a number of leases. Earlier in the fall, we did approve a new lease for our mobility center, which is located at 44th Street in Washington. At the end of this fiscal year, on June 30th, the lease on this building, we call it our headquarters location or the 101 building, is set to expire. Angie DeVore, Interim Chief Administrative Officer, has done a wonderful job of leading efforts to engage with our broker and potential offerers in this space to find a new lease. Our current occupancy in this building, to give you an idea of the order of magnitude that we're working with, in this building, we have 259 team members and contractors. Of that 259, 30 are contractors, 9 are City of Phoenix staff who are embedded with us here. That number has increased 58%, or by a head count of 95, since 2017. 2017 was the last time we added square footage. Our current square footage is 70,316 square feet. Long term, we anticipate we might need closer to 74,000. Our current strategy for the lease is this. We are taking a fiscally conservative near-term approach So we'll come back to this board with a potential lease in February, looking at the space we would need for the next 18 to 24 months. So we're not forecasting growth in additional positions. Here's what we've been doing to actually limit our space requirements. We're leveraging office sharing and flexible workspace solutions, sometimes called hoteling. We're also doing desk sharing and hot desking. Hot desking is we've got a suite of desks and it's first come, first serve. We've converted a number of our single offices to multi-occupancy, so we might have 2 people in what was otherwise a single office. And we're working to optimize utilization and sharing, also really creating, now this is moving forward in a new lease, creating more standard office sizes so that we're maximizing our footprint, minimizing the shared spaces like conference rooms so that we can ensure that every square footage is being consumed. We did receive feedback.
Jessica, I have a couple members that want to, oh, yeah, Lauren?
I have a question, because it was brought to my attention and you mentioned it right now. It was about City of Phoenix staff. Can you give me some clarity on that?
I will, yes. So City of Phoenix staff that hold office spaces in this building are typically those team members who are focused on capital project delivery. So currently there are 9 office spaces reserved for City of Phoenix staff, and this is an agreement with City of Phoenix. What we'd like to do, and we received feedback, by the way, on this item from RTAG, which was held Monday or Tuesday of this week. What we'd like to do is try to skinny down that square footage requirement, creating an opportunity to add space in the future as needed if system expansion or projects dictate, but not assuming that space will be needed. As you're aware, we are in the process of closing out our most recent mega capital project, the South Central Extension. And so we'll enter a period, length of the period to be determined, where we're not in an active build mode. We are also in planning and design on the Rio East Dobson streetcar extension. So we typically have contractors or city staff embedded, but there are some things that we can do. We think it could be adding space in the future that we're not incorporating into a lease today, or it could be relying on spaces that are owned and occupied by those cities or contract firms.
So it's actual city staff, employed by city staff. They're not contractors.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Council Member, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
We have another question. Councilmember Tomachak, it's all yours.
Thank you. Well, I'm just pleased to see the Valley Metro is willing to take a look. I know Jessica and I had this conversation about, rather than increasing the space, taking a good hard look at our footprint. And this has been kind of an ongoing conversation. I've been on the board for quite some time. That we, this is very expensive real estate, and especially, making a commitment for space for, I think to 2042 right now seems like we would be paying for space that we don't even really need right now. And I mean, with the new flex work schedules, the hybrid schedules that seem to be working well, I understand, some people need to be in the office every day, but not everyone needs to be in the office every day. And, lots and lots of organizations are finding huge savings with flex work schedules, and saving a lot of money on rent. And, given the current climate and the what our deliverables are and what we, are the reason the Valley Metro exists, I'm all about conservative. So I appreciate the idea that you're taking a good hard look at this. And I welcome the conversation in February.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Council Member Tomachak.
Yep, good. Okay, go ahead.
Finally, I want to just do a little bit of foreshadowing regarding a study session that we're planning for next month on February 19th on Prop 479. So we are now 22 days into the Prop 479 era, signalizing stable funding, continued support for public transportation across the region for the next 20 years, which will contribute to our ability to deliver a dynamic and growing transit system. As part of that, we, together with our partners at MAG, are going to have to transition from the 400 era with its associated policies into a 479 era. The study session in February will be jointly conducted by MAG and Valley Metro staff. This will be an opportunity to walk board and city staff present in the room through the next steps that are so deserving of discussion and your input. We will provide important background, including historical plan development and current realities, factors around the numbers, how we're getting from baseline assumptions to cost drivers of the future program. I also think it's important to refresh and highlight current and future next steps, including key changes to the 479 framework that are different from the 400 framework, the transition process, and some of the productivity and revenue generating solutions that we together with MAG plan to implement to mitigate growth and program cost. As we seek to continue a regional dialogue for successful 400 closeout, which will come to this board, by the way, a plan for Prop 400 closeout will come to the board for approval at a later date. So it merits some discussion and collaboration in advance of that conversation. We look forward with your input, support, and collaboration to navigating the new funding environment, including balancing an increased share for public transit within the regional transportation sales tax against the increasing costs of labor, equipment, and overall transit operations, all so that we can deliver a more finely tuned, productive transit system. Some of the programs we're going to highlight that are really focused on productivity include that bus network redesign, which I spoke about earlier, fair policy, and you're going to hear today on an update to our fair study session from back in September, competitive grants and funding, and our new board ad hoc committee, which will help us through the changing economics of our transit environment. So we remain solution and partner focused, and we look forward to that study session coming up next month. You'll hear from me. I know a number of our board members are virtual today. I will send an email out by the end of the week detailing some of this process to get you thinking and to solicit your questions and input along the way. Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes my update. Thank you.
I have a question. Thank you very much. Did you have another question?
I do, on this joint meeting. I believe staff meetings are being held with our InterGov regarding some information from MAG. And so I am requesting to get that. I want to see the documents that were given to the InterGovs. I think the whole board should see it. There's conversations floating around. And before I go into the study session, I would like to have all the materials beforehand to understand what we're studying and what conversation we're having.
I agree.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We'll work with MAG to ensure that we receive that information and can pass that on to this.
Your microphone's not on.
Your mic's not on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Thank you, Madam Chair, Councilmember Pastor. We'll work with MAG to obtain that presentation that MAG shared with their InterGovs during a MAG committee meeting with you in advance. And this February study session is well timed. This information will have been presented to MAG's Transportation Policy Committee the day before on February 18th. So we're trying to work to coordinate communication, and we can certainly do that by sharing that information with you this week.
You satisfied?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have a question. I don't know if you can see my hands. I thought my hands were raised.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Jessica, I'd like to, this is something I've wondered for a long time. These, today you spoke about the whatever the social event was on South Central that drew 600 people, riders, most likely, maybe not all riders. But do we capture data and use data for this type of events? And what are our goals for these? Are we trying to increase ridership? Are we trying to help businesses along the rail line generate more revenue? Do we track that? And then how much are we spending per person who turns out? I know a lot, cities have events. I know many of us have events, and we try to track, how much are we investing? How many people showed up? How did it affect whatever our goal was? If our goal was revenue, how did it affect revenue generated for that time period as opposed to, that month, the previous year? So I just like to have a little bit more better understanding of what the goals are of these types of events, whether they generate more, we want to try to generate more riders. What exactly are we doing? And what is our return on our investment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember Tolmachev. The goal of events like this is really multifaceted. It is to generate ridership by creating familiarity with the system from the community around this investment, especially people who might not use the transit service on a day-to-day basis for things like journey to work. It's also building the relationship between Valley Metro and our services in the surrounding community. And I want to highlight in South Central and the Northwest Extension Phase 2, these are communities that experience many years of disruption. We've been kicking up dust for a good long while on Central Avenue in South Phoenix. So this is a moment for the community to come and see what we built together and experience that. That aspect of it's difficult to measure the ridership. We can measure, and I think I mentioned earlier, Central and Baseline Station is already our third busiest station, and we are exceeding our ridership projections for South Central at just 7 months in to the operation of our service. I can obtain information from our community engagement team on event cost. I'm not sure what the specific event cost is, which really just comes from, personnel and things like portable restrooms. The vendors are all paid, so the food and things aren't free, but staff also volunteered to support these events. And I'm grateful for the many hours across 3 weekends in December, no less, that Valley Metro staff showed up and volunteered. I've answered your question as best I can. I'm looking at Hillary Foos, our Chief of Marketing Communications. I think that's everything we can respond to extemporaneously, because I would have to pull cost figures to give you more information about that.
Okay, do we have any other questions
Yeah,
regarding that?
well,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
guess what I'd like to see maybe is, do you do intercept surveys? Ask people who are there, how have you ridden the system? How often do you ride the system? Trying to gather data from the people that are there. Are they already riders? Are we bringing new riders? Are you going to tell your friends about intercept surveys could give us a really good insight into who we're even attracting to these events.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Council Member. We're not conducting those intercept surveys today. I think that's a fantastic idea, so that it helps us understand who we are engaging with and how different that group is from the day-to-day riders. We do have more data from the day-to-day riders as we periodically do conduct pulse surveys on the system. But I think we could create a community engagement type pulse survey to share at events like this, but also at those bus network redesign and other events that we host or participate in across the Valley.
Yeah, even just with the QR code that's available at the event for people to scan it and answer a couple of quick questions. So, help us provide better service, whatever. Most people are willing to take a minute if they could just, scan a QR code rather than having, it's usually more efficient than having people walking around with clipboards, because people try to generally run away from that. So.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember. I'll take this back to our community engagement team, and we'll look for ways to incorporate this into our special events and our ongoing engagement.
Do we have any further questions? Oh, Jimmy has a question.
Not a question, but a comment. I think you hit it right where we disrupted Central Avenue and the South Side for so long. It's really nice to do things like this, to draw attention, to bring business to the companies that are there, the businesses that are there. I think it's a really nice give back for us, because we definitely disrupted their lives for a long time. So.
Anyone else? OD?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure, thank you for the report, even though I only heard just a summary of it. I just wanted to make sure that we continue to impress upon making sure that the board is invited to these things as well, and making sure that that comes through our emails and stuff like that. Even if we're not gonna participate, I think that's important. And I feel like there's a time we want you to go out there and do that. But we also want to remind people you're not doing it by yourself. You're not doing it on your own will. You're doing it at the at the work of what the board is directing you to do. And I think a lot of people need to understand that the decision that's being made is being made with this board, with the vision of the board to represent the reason as the elected officials. I kind of think it's important to always making sure that we're there, and if we're there, acknowledge that we're there, because the public needs to know this is Valley Metro is a regional effort supported by multiple cities. Each elected official here represents a city, a municipality, and that's important for people to know that. So I just kind of want to make sure that no matter what, no matter how small or big, if it's a public thing that you're doing, it needs to be sent out to us as an invitation when possible. There's certain things that we're not going to be able to. You got to go to Washington, D.C. I'm not looking to get that invitation, but if there's things that we're doing here that makes fiscal sense, then get the invitation out to us. At least allow us to make that decision. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember Harris.
Okay, do you have a comment?
Go ahead, Marianne.
Okay.
I would like to
Same time.
just agree with what Odie said, because some of us, especially in Scottsdale, we're not seen as this big transportation hub, and it's not your high use, but it is a great opportunity for myself and our staff to, when you send that information to us, to push it out. And I know that you do a lot of social media, so do I. And then people are like, oh, Valley Metro, Scottsdale, the connection is made. And I think that that's part of it, because then people ask questions, and then it also allows us to go to our constituents and say, see, we are a part of this. We want to be a larger part of this. So just.
Thank you, Councilmember McGowan.
Okay, Councilmember Pastor.
I just find it, I think it's just very important to send out to everybody, because everybody is aware. Even if they can attend, they can at least talk about it or be able to say, how was that event? The other piece is it's nice to have my colleagues be able to attend some of our events, or any of our events. But it's nice because then we're supported, and it is, in a sense, it is a regional board. And everybody the whole regional board then is able to see what is happening in other people's cities and be able then to go back to their constituents and say, here's what the future could look like. Go to Mesa, go to Tempe, go to Phoenix, go to the west side, Scottsdale, north, and actually south too, and be able to see how the connectivity of our transit system is desperately needed and supported. And I think it's important that we just start marketing that way.
Great.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other comments?
Yes,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Chair,
Oh,
Madam
sure.
Chair, it's
Yes.
Lauren again. I just wanted to clarify and make sure that I wasn't misunderstood. I'm not suggesting that we don't do these events and that we shouldn't, have these events, especially for South Central and other areas where there's been long-term construction and disruption into their lives. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying I think there's opportunities possibly being missed that could benefit the organization at these events. That's my point, that we could probably take a little bit better look at exactly what are we doing, what are we offering to them, and what kind of information could we get to maybe enhance ridership or deliver, whatever. So I just think we might be missing an opportunity. So that was what my point was, not that we don't do them. Thank you.
Okay, and it looks like Peggy has her hand up.
Also, from my vantage point, I'm out in Fountain Hills, like Scottsdale. We don't, have Metro, et cetera. And I have people complaining about taxes and why we're paying for transit. And I think that for me personally, I would like to go to some of these events, take pictures, and post it on my page as well, so that my constituents see that we do have a connection and a nexus to downtown and transit. The money's being wisely spent, et cetera. So I think that it would be really a good idea to be able to participate more in some of those events.
Okay, thank you. Max, did you have your
Thank
hand
you
up?
so much. Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you so much, CEO Mefford Miller. As we transition into this phase, I think another way to leverage these events, it's something that I saw actually inspired by Council Member Pastor, brought to my attention by Council Member Davis. But for example, tomorrow is the deadline for the CapEx survey for Valley Metro. Were we advertising that at these events? Were we talking about the capital extension in that survey that's out there? I did not hear that in the reporting that you provided to us, but that's pretty crucial for us in the West Valley because if it doesn't go through the capital extension, I'm not sure how we'll get out here to Maryvale in the far west side of Phoenix, and hopefully one day Tullison and Avondale will have access. So whether we leverage these events to ensure that there's valley-wide awareness or leverage these events to ensure they know what we're surveying them on and what we need public feedback, I think we need to be innovative with engagement and think of alternative ways to be more engaging in our community because I think that would have been an opportunity. I'm not sure, maybe you can answer for me. Were we able to urge and encourage people's awareness about the CapEx surveys during these events?
Thank you, Councilmember White. Madam Chair, members of the board, we are encouraging the public to participate in any of our ongoing surveys or programs at the events. For example, at South Central, which is our biggest event, we had a table focused on bus network redesign, actually staffed by our Deputy Chief, Michael Eshelman, out talking with people about these projects and programs. We're also sending staff to go to other events within the community when requested. So if there are events in your community where you think a Valley Metro presence, whether it's general or it's focused on a particular project or program, we're also available to do that. And we appreciate the many invitations that we've had over what is now the event season here in the Valley.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, just, I had one specific comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I know that and she may have already mentioned it, but I haven't seen nothing come across my desk about it, which is the women's Final Four that's coming up. And so I don't know if you've already previously mentioned this in your comments, or if you've sent anything to the board about what is our plan of action. I would like to get a plan of action for what does that look like. That's coming up pretty soon. I think it's in April. Seem like we should already be getting information about what that plan should look like. And so if we haven't already gotten that information, I'm sure the team is working on it, but we would like to know, I would like to know all the plans and how will they include Valley Metro. We're going to be stepping up doing any sponsorships or anything like that. I would expect that the board would be invited to all those different things, but we need a detailed layout and we need invitations for that so we can be included as a part of that messaging. So perhaps do you already have that information out?
Thank you, Councilmember Harris, Madam Chair, members of the board. So we do not have information out just yet about Final Four. Typically for mega events like Final Four, what Valley Metro is doing is preparing for additional levels of service to support the higher crowds that we have at these events. And that includes more personnel on the ground from our operating and our security and customer experience teams. We're also typically doing some marketing and promotion work, working to invite the public and visitors aboard Valley Metro during those events. We typically don't sponsor those events as a public entity. We're just not resourced to be an event sponsor. Those sponsorships are typically coming from the public or the private sector. But we would be happy in the February update to provide a Final Four preview. And we've done this historically when we've conducted mega events like Super Bowl 57, for instance, which was a big deal. So if it suits the board, I would be happy to push that out in February at our board meeting.
Yeah, in the call to action for participation, if there's going to be a participation or a call to action, probably want to know what that looks like as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on now to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is presented for action. Does the committee have any questions or do any items need to be pulled for separate discussion? Max, you still have your hand up. Are you wanting to say something? Okay, I request a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 3A through 3C.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, is there any discussion that needs to happen?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to discuss item 5.
Oh, that's.
Wait a minute, where we at? We're on, I'm sorry, consent agenda. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I
Okay,
apologize.
so do we have, okay, any other discussion? Okay, having said, please say, yay or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, now we're going on to the regular agenda, federal public transportation agenda and 2026 reauthorization priorities. Jessica, will now introduce item 4.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'd like to invite Alexis Tamaron-Kinsey, our Chief of Government Affairs and Policy, to present on this item.
Thank you, Jessica. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. As we start this year, we know and we may anticipate unanticipated challenges ahead. But before we get into the annual agenda and authorization priorities, it is nice to be able to provide you with a legislative update with some good news coming out of Washington. Earlier this month, the House and Senate appropriation leaders released, and the House overwhelmingly passed a bipartisan funding deal for fiscal 26 commerce, justice, science, interior, and energy and water spending bills. It was a minibus. The Senate passed a conference package last Thursday, and it is now headed for the president's signature. Why this is important for Valley Metro is that the CJS package included $1 million in earmarked funding championed by Representative Yasemin Ansari to support a Valley Metro community safety program. The pilot program would support staffing, training, and equipment for safety and security teams, which include local law enforcement officers, to redirect members of the community who may be in or near crisis or who may pose a threat to their own safety or the safety of others on our transit system. So we are very proud to have that additional funding, ultimately to drop a project, which I believe we've talked about previously at this board with regard to our safety and safety and community engagement. Additionally, 2 days ago, the House and Senate Appropriation Committee leaders unveiled HR 7148. It's the Consolidated Appropriation Act of 2026. It's the remaining appropriation bills that need funding, including the THUD, the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development bill for 2026. The House of Representatives is expected to vote on this measure this week, and the Senate will follow next week, which essentially they have to complete these types of votes in order to avoid any government shutdown at the end of January 30th. So it's a good development to have. And again, I believe late last year I presented indicating that it was more than likely they would end up on the Senate side of the numbers, which are in keeping with fully funding public transit, in addition to making sure that the money that we receive for formula programs is intact. So back to the item for your consideration today is the annual federal transportation agenda and surface transportation priorities, which are in your packet. To meet strategic funding objectives, each year our staff works with our federal consultants to review and update Valley Metro's public transportation legislative agenda. The purpose of the agenda is to assist the administration in implementation of regional programs, to guide responses to legislative and administrative policy proposals at the federal level. It is also to provide information to member cities, regional stakeholders, and bring attention to the importance of federal funding, grants, and other investments in transit in the metropolitan region. This includes the development of public transit priorities, goals, critical strategy, guidance, and coordination in securing discretionary grants, including earmarks, which we have received from federal agencies as they become available, and to the maximum amount possible. Additionally, this year, we're presenting the existing 5-year surface transportation program, otherwise known as the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act, IIJA, is set to expire in September. Therefore, we are including Valley Metro's priorities for surface transportation reauthorization for your consideration. Together, the federal agenda and transportation priorities will be the basis of a federal advocacy toolkit for your use when you go back to NLC or any other opportunities to lobby not only our congressional delegation, but others, particularly in our agencies. Our goals remain high level. As you're aware, FTA formula programs are set in surface transportation authorization bills, and Valley Metro utilizes a variety of federal formula funds to fund bus, paratransit vehicles, right choice, travel training, congestion mitigation, air quality programs such as Vanpool, and preventative maintenance. Valley Metro's reauthorization priorities include, but not limited to, maintaining the investments established by the IIJA, supporting a baseline set at current funding levels plus inflation, and creating a new formula program that fully funds crime prevention and security capital costs that may extend to operating costs for police and other security personnel, such as housed here at Valley Metro. Now that the 26 funding bills are largely agreed upon, Congress' attention, at least the Transportation Committee chairs, will turn their attention back to reauthorization efforts, including their desire to get a bipartisan authorization bill to the floor by September 30th. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I have a question. Does this affect the streetcar extension in Tempe to Mesa?
The grant that we have received for has been awarded for the READY, Madam Chair, members of the board. So this funding does not affect that grant program. It was awarded in a previous year. So we'll continue to push forward on that.
Okay, thank you.
But I think if I may, Alexis, Madam Chair, members of the board, the tie-in and one of the key pillars of Valley Metro's federal lobbying agenda is to maintain funding for the Capital Investment Grant Program, which is the program that this region has successfully tapped into for 5 different rail extensions. And so that's a likely federal funding stream for the Rio East Dobson streetcar extension. So we are there lobbying for continued investment for this program.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Do we have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I have a statement. I'm actually really excited to hear that HR 6938 got funded. I was part of that letter writing, and it is actually awesome so that we can look at some of the behavioral health and people have people on the line to be able to not diagnose, but be able to help and assist in that capacity besides police enforcement.
Yep, very
So,
good. Yeah,
It's awesome.
good. Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation as presented on the screen?
So moved.
Okay, second. Okay, do we have any discussion that needs to take place? Seeing none, all in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Excellent. Okay, now we're on number 5, executive recruitment search firm contract award. Jessica will now introduce item 5.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Item 5 before you is a request to allow Valley Metro to enter into a cooperative agreement for executive and scarce skill recruitment services with Krauthamer and Associates for a 1-year, or that expires October 12th, 2026, with a 1-year option to extend. This contract would be a not to exceed amount of $250,000. This would be a task order based contract. So in other words, no funds would be spent until and unless those services were actually utilized. As a matter of background, we have relied on executive recruitment services a number of times in our organization's history. Most recently, we have used external recruiting services for senior and scarce skill roles, notably including Chief Maintenance Officer, Deputy Chief for Service Planning, Deputy Chief for Rail Operations. This is the firm that was also used in the placement that brought me to Valley Metro. We're at a moment in time within our organization where we've got a couple of really critical roles that we'd like to fill. We have added talent to the team. We have created specializations. Many of the team members along the wall to my left have been part of that reorganization. As discussed with the joint subcommittee during my evaluation process last spring, We would like to introduce the role of a chief operating officer to the organization. The chief operating officer would lead our transportation functions, maintenance, service planning, and customer experience. Today, all of those functions do report directly to me as one of 11 senior direct reports. We would also like to reintroduce the role of Chief Administrative Officer. Many of you may remember Jim Hilliard retired last year, and Chief Administrative Officer would lead the functions of finance, procurement, human resources, information technology, and project management. So fairly classical Chief Operating Officer and Chief Administrative Officer roles. We would like to fill or open these roles to internal, local, and national talent. Certainly, Chief Administrative Officer is a role that we might be more likely to fill within a national or statewide talent pool. Those transit-specific roles, we sometimes do have to look out across the industry. So this would help us fill those critical positions. I do want to emphasize that this is a contract for professional services and is not requesting a spend authority for any staff positions. Any staff positions we would be recruiting for are already supported by our operating budget. With that, I'm happy to take any questions on this item.
Odie?
Yes, thank you so much. So what have we already done internally with the team that we do have to look at the role that you're seeking to fill? Have we done anything with that?
So we conduct team building. Now these are really critical roles. And so one of the things I think it's important to note about our organization, we're a pretty lean team. So take operations, for example. We deliver our service through contract staff. So in bus and rail operations, both, we've got a handful of team members who are part of that organization. I want to contrast that with a large organization that might directly operate service that has a significant bench to draw from. I also want to mention that most of those team members are new to their role and possibly new to the organization within the last 3 years. When I arrived here almost 4 years ago, we had very lean benches. I had one guy running bus operations and bus maintenance, for example. So I'm proud of the team that we've built.
I just wanted to thank you. My thing is I'm trying to get like very specific.
Okay.
$250,000 to me is a lot of money. I mean, we don't even spend that much money to finding a city manager, let alone putting $250,000 into a firm. I guess my question is that can our team, you have team members. I think I just seen another opening for recruitment to fulfill a recruitment team that you have. You've got a recruitment right now hiring process that's going on that was supposed to be closed, but it got extended to the 25th. What I'm saying to you is that core 3 people or 2 people, which will be another person once you hire the other person, why can't they do that job? Why do we need to approve an additional dollar amount at this level? And to me, we don't even pay that much money, or we don't allocate. And I'm not saying that you're spending that much money, because I don't want it to get confused. You're not saying we're going to spend this amount. You're just saying, hey, as we go for a larger search, there's going to be expenses that could. But I'm saying, like, even when we do our city manager recruitment for an executives, we don't spend that much. I'm just saying, let's do this. Tell me about how you chose this particular company. Let's start there, and then I can ask some more questions following that.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to answer your questions in turn, Councilmember Harris. First of all, with respect to the spend, I do want to be clear that this would be a not to exceed amount if we were to use this firm for multiple positions. So this is not an expenditure focused on one position. So I do want to be clear about that. Number 2, with respect to our team, we haven't made significant investments in our human resources team and our recruiting team. It's still a very lean team today. We have Penny Lynch and I think one recruiting team member on staff today. So the role of external recruiting services, and I know some of our cities use these services, it really is for those executive or hard to fill niche kind of positions. So I wouldn't use a recruiting firm for a position I think that we could support locally or in-house. And we could support these recruitments in-house. That's certainly a possibility, Council Member Harris, Madam Chair. We might not have the reach. And for several of the positions that we've filled with executive recruiting services, we're reaching into organizations and tapping people. So it's a different process than pushing a recruitment out there and then responding to and working with who comes back to us. We're actually tapping people and mining teams to find some of this talent. And that's something we have had to do within our organization as we build this Go Long transit service team. And I feel like there was one other question, Councilmember Harris, that I might have missed. Would you remind me?
Tell
please?
me, tell me why you chose this firm.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Harris. So this is a firm that we have worked with. There are a few firms in the transit space specifically. This is a firm we've worked with, and we would have the opportunity to connect with that firm on a piggyback contract with another transit agency.
I guess my thing is this is, when I think about what this looks like, I just kind of feel that right now, I almost think it's better to put this to pause, only because of the fact that I think that once you hire this last recruitment, but once you put it out there, people are in need of jobs. I don't know if you guys seen the economy, but I might apply for the $250,000 job, whatever it's gonna cost to do this job. I don't know what the cost, I'm just throwing it out there. But this is a 6-figure job. You tell today that you're gonna put out a 6-figure employment for this, a lot of people are gonna apply. Maybe some of your team members might wanna apply and move up. So what I'm saying is this.
Thank you.
I think what needs to happen, which could be a form of a strategy, let's put together, have your team put together, work with your HR team, if you haven't already. I'm not saying that you have or haven't, because I haven't had this conversation with you before this meeting. Put together the job description. What exactly are you you're looking for specifically? Pull it all together. Let the board see exactly what you're looking at in terms of this role. If you haven't already did it, because you may have already done some steps, because you're looking at me like you've done some of these steps already. That's cool. But what I am saying is that once we put it out, let's use our own people power. That $250,000, I mean, you could do 25, you can find that role, put it to task, tell HR, hey, work with your recruitment team, because we do have a specific recruitment team. Tell them we're gonna put $25,000 worth of money into amplifying that this role is available, and we can put it in national. If it costs a little bit more money to put it in national spots, that's fine, or specific demographics that you have identified that has a wide database, then I think that could be one way of approach. I just think right now with the way things are, I just think allocating that level and based on my experience of hiring executives and being a part of the conversation, I was semi a part of the conversation when you were coming on board, and the board before me was making these decisions because it was coming to our city council. My mayor was here before I was. I know, but I understand that, but you got to let me cook a little bit. Okay. So let me cook. Let me tell the people why this is important, because $250,000 when we're looking at our budget is a lot of money to have allocated or to have on standstill or freeze. So what I'm saying is that let's hold it, let's put this to hold, let's table it, and then let's try to do some more build up, get back with the board in terms of like what that job description is gonna be, how you're gonna go out, work with the recruitment team and put together an internal strategy, and then say, I need more resources to push the strategy that I'm thinking about forward. Because I just kind of feel right now, financially, we as an organization shouldn't allocate those type of dollars at this time towards such a project. I think a lesser amount would be better versus a a higher amount. So that's what I'm thinking right now. And I don't know the details, so maybe you can add more color to what I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I'm not saying no, but I am saying, let's get more information to the board so we can kind of work with you to help you be successful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Max, do you want to go ahead?
Thank you
I
so
see-
much, Madam Chair.
Sure.
Thank you, CEO Mefford Miller. I not sure, Michael probably is going to cringe, but I believe in a prior conversation somewhere, this was a part of a discussion. That's probably not sure, but I understood this to be something to anticipate. Concern for me, number one, and I'll just share it and be forthright. You're doing those other two jobs right now, CEO Mefford Miller. And I am concerned that you are taking on broad scope type activity, and you have Penny to support you in the HR space. She does an amazing job. However, I do see the need for you to actually fill those roles so you can do that CEO thing that we all expect you to kind of do every day. But I always question money, because in this environment where we have to cut back, I want to cut back. I know your preference for this firm is probably because this is the firm that brought you to us. I don't think there's a problem with that either. However, I have the questions more about the HR side. What is their date from, like, for example, if we were to go out for that chief administrative officer job tomorrow? So tomorrow is January 23rd. From the date they post the job, what is their turnaround date to date of hire? Is that $250,000 what we pay the firm and the salary of that person who joins us for the first year? That is sometimes banked into the recruitment cost. So I guess those are the types of questions. But I think if we're talking about spending money, I don't think there's a person on this board who wants to approve you spending a dime, quite honestly. We're cutting back in every city, every town, every village, every hamlet in America is cutting back. But the reality is, I'm more nervous about you doing all three of these jobs and not being able to focus on the overwhelming executive function you must fulfill, because you're spending time on these other things. And I think maybe this is more for something you can add to our study session to tell us why this firm is the one you've targeted, so that way we understand better. I understand the not to exceed. So if you can give us those types of details in another setting, because I'm not sure that you could answer all of our questions as specifically as we're going to ask them. But I do believe this was something that you asked for if you were going to stay on in this role. And I would hate not to fulfill that and not give you something that maybe this was something I talked to you about personally. I don't know if it was something that I have talked to about, because when I look at staffing and people resources, that is my background. That is the one thing I have talent in, is the HR space. And you are fulfilling three executive functions, and you are one human, and we have a high expectation of you with what you're doing here. So those are what I'll put out there. I don't know if I can leave it as a statement and ask you to fulfill those responses in our study session or not, but that's what I have. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We have Councilmember Edwards. He's had his hand up for a long time. Do you still have, I don't see your hand up, so are you?
No, I took it down. I think I got what I need from the responses from my fellow board members.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Tomachev.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple things. I guess the issue I have with this is there's nothing in this item that tells us how much you're going to spend on the recruitment that you're telling us that we need to do. So it says $250,000 for a variety of services, apparently, but I don't know if we're talking about one specific recruitment. This agenda item doesn't tell us what the spend is to fulfill these roles. That's number one. Number two, for me, with the shift with 479 for some of the responsibility over to MAG, yeah, I mean, are we going to, by doing this, I don't know if this is putting the cart before the horse, because are we going to need to right size the organization or reorganize staff that's doing the transit life cycle and things like that, things that MAG's going to be taking over, the basically managing the funding. Those things are going to change. And are we going to do we need to figure out how we're going to set up the organization under these new guidelines before we do these recruitments so you can align that? Are we doing this in the right order? That's my other question. And my third question, I mean, cities generally only contract out for recruitment for city managers. Usually, I mean, there's places where you can post job openings nationally. For example, for transportation, I know I looked just now, APTA has a jobs page where you can advertise for and recruit transit professionals. I'd like to know, is this organization going to come up with an advertisement, put an advertisement on APTA's website, and is that what they're going to do? Or are they going to do, I mean, I don't even really know what the deliverables are other than just they're going to find a COO and a CAO. But those are my three questions. What is the cost for this specific recruitment? How much are they going to need to go fill those two positions? Number two, have you taken an inside look at the organization and figured out like what do we need to change or restructure, if anything, under the new framework, how this is going to work with MAG? Should that be done before or after this? And then the last thing is exactly what are they going to, whatever the cost is. I think we spent $50,000 on a search for a city manager, for a national search. But there's places where people who are looking for jobs they know where to go to look for that information, who somebody's looking to make a change. So those are my three questions.
All right, Jessica.
Thank you, Councilmember Tolmachoff, Madam Chair, members of the board. So to your question, Councilmember, on what are we spending per role? I believe on this contract, it is a function of the beginning salary for the position placed. And I believe that is 30.5%. And I'm phoning a friend and I see Penny nodding at me. So thank you, Penny, 30.5% of annual salary. So the $250,000 was, if we take a few key positions and fill it, that's where the not to exceed amount comes from. So certainly it could be skinny down, or we could not approve this item. And I'll try to answer your question, Councilmember Tolmachoff, along with Councilmember Harris's earlier question. What if we do it ourselves? We could certainly try. And we, of course, do have job descriptions drafted for the two roles I've talked about here today, Chief Administrative Officer and Chief Operating Officer. So we could go at it internally, if you will. That's an option. And assuming we were successful, not come back, perhaps we put a time on it and say, if we have not found the right match for our role, then we come back and have a conversation about it. With respect to Prop 479, the administration of 479, while that transfers to MAG all of the accounting that we do for the expenditures associated with Valley Metro in our operating budgets and capital programs, those actually remain. So there won't be a transference of staff responsibility from Valley Metro to MAG. So while the 479 policy construct is a big change for us, and MAG is going to have to administer that, we are walking down that road together, hand in glove, and the staff support from Valley Metro remains very much needed, and certainly doesn't impact the need for the Chief Operating Officer to lead those 5 different functions that I mentioned, or for the Chief Administrative Officer to lead those functions that I mentioned. And thank you, Councilmember White, for acknowledging most of those functions today do report directly to my role.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with you filling the roles. I just don't, I mean, even with the 30.5%, that still doesn't tell me like, what is the actual amount of money that would be spent with this firm to recruit for those 2 roles? I still don't know. I still don't know what the answer is to that. I mean, I know you're asking for authorization for other recruitments, which I think that's, at least for me, part of the problem I'm having. And we have a communications and marketing team that I think could, very capably put together not just a job description for these type of jobs. You need to put together an actual package, advertising package to make the job look attractive. But I mean, we have people who are capable of doing that. And wouldn't be opposed to saying, let them get it out in the atmosphere and see what kind of response we get first from trying to save the 250 grand or whatever the actual amount is. And then if we find out we're getting crickets, we're not getting a response, we're getting a lot of unqualified people, then we know that we need to do this a different way. But I think that we should be able to, you're a transit professional, you've worked in other markets, you guys go to conferences, people. This kind of stuff gets out in the network. I think we probably would have a very good chance of recruiting some very good talent on our own. And I think we should try that. If we're not successful, we can still come back in whatever it is, 60 days, and move ahead with the contract and have somebody do it for us. Thank you.
Thank you, council member.
Okay, Kenny has had his hand up for some time. Go ahead, Kenny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So here's where my head is on this right now. I heard you and Maxine say that we have a lean organization. I believe that. I work in one of the very leanest organizations in all of Maricopa County. Personally, going through the ACFRS showed we are lower than anyone, and there is a massive drain on our people and their ability to just do their jobs daily, let alone try to go through a recruitment process. So I'm a little more hesitant on those really high critical number 2 positions to our CEO. Having the CEO invest into that and not have her all of her attention on this organization that really continues to improve and still needs a lot of work. So I do support a recruitment in the right way. I think there's 2 things going on here for me. One thing that's missing, and I agree with Lauren. If this company is going to make this kind of money, they should be giving us a proposal as to what it looks like, right? We know we're looking at these specific jobs, so they should be giving us a proposal, to do that. It's going to take this much time, cost this much in dollars, or whatever however that expense is out, so that we can have more confidence that we do have the right recruitment firm at the right price. And so this is just very vague, like we're swagging $250,000. I'm sure that's not what it is, but it appears like we just threw out a number and hoping it hits. So I would need to see more of really a proposal. The other thing that I'm concerned about is going back to the MAG thing. I'm hearing things that are of concern. I don't know yet if they're true or not, but they're concerning. We're getting a briefing in February, the day after, there's more work with MAG, and nothing's been said on this. I would rather table this. Let's get through that to see how these changes occur, what our budgeting looks like, because these are one of those things. If we're going into dire straits, this is one of those things that we may have to figure out how to do on our own, as hard as it is. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you so much for your input. I think OD is next.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. My thing is this: let's work together. Let's work with you. I know you need these arms, because I always tell you, hey, stop doing all the work. Get the support you need. So I want to 100% support you on getting the arms that you need to do the work, because what you do is absolutely incredible. And what you have been able to do for this organization has been phenomenal. Now we need to get you the help that you need to continue the work as we continue to expand this region and connect the rails and connect the bus activity. You need that help. You need that support. And if the truth is told, you're doing the dual work of one CEO that other organizations like yours typically have multiple people, like you're saying, multiple arms helping them, because you're doing capital projects, you're doing expansions, and you're doing that. So I think that if you can work with us, we'll work with you. But let's try to see if you can get with your team. Your expert on your team is Peggy, and she's over there. She does a wonderful job. Put together some type of conversation, something that you can work with your expert on, and see if you can get that back to us. And I would ask, Madam Chair, if we can table this conversation to a later date till she gets back with us and let us know. So I'm making a motion to table this item number 5, to get back with us with a later date to see what that could potentially look like in terms of a plan of action internally before we go externally.
Councilmember White, second.
Okay, so we have to have more discussion because we have some more people.
Right.
So, yeah.
Hold on.
Oh,
Chair.
are you-
Oh, no. Well, the chair, I just wanted to, and Michael, you can correct us. Michael.
Here, so a motion and a second has been made to table. So now the only discussion that would be taken is on the motion to table.
Okay,
So
okay.
there
I
could be
apologize.
discussion on the motion to table, but otherwise we need to take a vote.
No, I know, but I mean.
Take a vote.
Sure.
Well, typically, we can have discussion after we have the motion and the second. Not on the table. Not on the table. Okay.
Did John need me to?
No, I'm totally fine with the motion. Actually, I think that's a great idea. I did just want to thank you for all of the hard work that you do for this organization. I know that you are doing the job of like 10 people. So I just wanted to publicly, recognize you for all of your hard work. I see it. I think we all do. So I don't want to, you feel like you're getting beat up right now. Might feel that way because you are doing such a fantastic job. So I want you to do that. So thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Aside from that, I do think there are lots of moving parts, right? So if we do table this and kind of wait to see what happens with the region, with the funding planning, I think that's great. And just more details, I think, especially like how much it costs per recruitment, right? What that's going to look like. I think that'd be important for all of us. That's all I wanted to add.
Okay,
I'm in agreement with this item being tabled and further discussion in the future. What I would like to see in this tabling of bringing back or a process is, I believe, I can speak about this, right? What I want to bring back, Michael, on the tabled item. Supposed to be.
Within bounds. We're just speaking about what's coming back to the agenda.
Right. So what I would like to see from this executive recruitment search contract is that a dialogue with RTAG, TMC, and RMC group with really information only. So they're aware of this item coming in front of us and understanding the nuance of the item. Secondly, I would like for you to bring back why we're doing what we're doing or why you're requesting to do this, all the different duties that you are doing because of these positions, to have an understanding. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, and Michael, you're going to have to come into play, is there was an executive session regarding what you needed. And so I believe some of the items that were requested are now in front of us. So I'm staying within my boundary, legal boundary and everything. And so I think that's important for board members to understand. So I'm requesting that those things happen within this item. So.
Madam Chair,
be
my
more-
hand was also up. I'm not sure if you saw that, Madam Chair.
go ahead.
Thank you so much, Chair. I would like in the information brought back to the board, a more robust presentation to provide data analytics behind the success of this firm specifically and their basic recruitment data that they would share with anybody to be inclusive. Because I think if you have the high need that we're thinking that you have, that we observe that you have, I can't take anything away from the work you're doing. I think that we need to know that this is the right firm as well. And maybe any analytics that you've done internally with Penny and her team to say, we looked at 3 different firms. This firm costs a certain amount, this firm costs another amount, and then move forward with this firm to let us see comparators, because it sounds like other municipalities are using different recruitment agencies and have different costs. So I'd like to see their performance and then their outcomes and how we selected them.
Okay, thank you
Thank
for
you,
your.
Madam Chair.
You bet. Thank you. Peggy.
With everybody's discussions, my question now is, if this matter gets tabled, what's the time parameter? Is it going to push back the job search? And what's the effect on that? Maybe Jessica can address that, but I do think if this matter is tabled, that we need to set a date or an approximate date when it's going to come back to.
Thank you.
Because the search needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Michael, you had your hand up. You had your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. So I do think it would be appropriate for the chair in the motion to, when it's tabled, to set a date for when the agenda item is going to be heard again. So it could be tabled until February.
Well, I think
then the item would come back up on February. I think to Councilmember McMahon's statement, the recruitment would continue at Valley Metro because that's an administrative matter and something that we're working on. The issue that would come back to the agenda is whether or not a recruitment firm is going to be utilized and what that recruitment firm is.
Okay, so I think my suggestion is we come back in March after we hear from MAG and see if there's anything that we're missing. And I've done a lot of recruiting myself for the city, for executive levels in my many roles that I had there. And we always went to our internal or external, like American Public Works Association. We'd advertise there. We'd advertise, you guys have your programs, advertise in all those different places that a lot of times it's free or very inexpensive, and just see what we have out there, because this valley is booming and people are sick of the cold up north. And I think that we could use that to our advantage, because a lot of people are getting laid off, and why not try that first and save a lot of money? The second thing I want to say is this item was not presented through the usual advisory group and management committee process. And so I think that's part of the situation that's happened here also. And so I would just ask if we could do this in March, and go ahead and we have 2 motions on the table. So all in favor of tabling?
Chair.
The maker of the motion has to give the date.
He said I did. He said the chair did.
There's a motion to table. It's at the discretion of the chair when to put things on the agenda.
Well, I would like to do it in March after we hear from, is that okay?
Chair, I wanted to ask, in terms of the date, will this be a special action, or are we looking to attach this to a meeting in March?
Okay, so that would be up to Michael.
Chair and Councilmember Harris, to answer your question, this is an agenda item for action, and so if you're tabling, it would remain an agenda item for action on the date that the chair chooses to put it back on the agenda.
So, are you okay with March?
Yeah. So the first meeting in March.
Yeah.
Okay.
First meeting in March. Yeah, I just want to hear from MAG first. I think that makes more sense, and then we'll have a better. But I would encourage you to continue trying to recruit the old-fashioned way.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is the clarification I have been looking for these past minutes, because I've heard a number of different valuable pieces of insight and guidance from the board here this morning. But the point of clarification I'm looking for and want to ensure that we leave the room understanding. So I'm given to understand we can begin recruitment efforts internally.
Yes.
Without the use of an executive recruiting firm. And by March, as we sit here in late January or begin a recruitment in late January, by March we'll know if we've been able to be successful. So under my understanding, this item would either come back to this body in March for consideration and possible approval, or perhaps it would not, because we might have been successful on our own. I want to clarify that, so I am assured that I've got the right direction for
Yes.
this morning.
That's the direction, and really cast the net wide. Because through all the organizations, I know you have, women in transportation, you've got all kinds of organizations.
Yeah.
So just please cast the net wide and let's see if we can get somebody the good old fashioned way, which is free.
I like it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. So, okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor to table this?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries to table it.
Can
Thank you,
I
thank you,
I actually
everyone.
have something to say. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, sure.
If you get inundated with resumes, do you have some access to AI tools so that you are not spending your time going through all of these?
Thank you, Vice Mayor Greenberg, Madam Chair, members of the board. We are in the process of finalizing several administrative policies, including an AI policy. So that is quite literally in my queue for reviewing. It's a long queue. It's in my queue for review and approval by the end of the week. So I will rely on our human resources team as they do to review and vet candidates, given the nature of the roles that I'm interested in pursuing. This would require a lot of involvement and phone calls and conversations from me, reaching into the industry and across our region. And so I will work, as we do with the HR team and our talented marketing team, who actually does a wonderful job producing very attractive brochures for many of our recruitments. And I would share that information with this body as well.
Thank you.
I just want to add, we just added more work to her plate for the record, just so you're all aware of that. Just take that to bed with you tonight, okay?
Well, she's gonna find somebody. I know it. Okay, I see hands up on the monitor. Are they current hands up or are they, Lauren, your hand is up. Do you want to discuss
Sorry.
anything? Okay.
I forgot. Thank
So
you.
I don't want to miss anybody. So, okay. Okay, so we're good on that. So can we move on to now, item 6, fair study update, and good job on the discussion, you guys.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
really, I really appreciate everybody's input because it's very important. So anyway, go ahead, on the fair study.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this item is being presented for your information. This is actually a follow-up to the study session on fair policy that we had back in September. At that time, the board had a number of questions, many of which required analysis. So staff has done that, and here to present the responses, Stain Riles, our manager of fair programs. We're also joined, just in case we need to phone a friend, by a team from Jacobs who are working with us on this effort. So without further ado, Dane, please.
All right, thank you, Jessica. Madam Chair, members of the board, happy to be here today to provide an update on the FAIR study. As Jessica mentioned, we provide a pretty robust FAIR study session in the fall, and we're here to provide some of the responses to questions that you had. We also want to provide some suggestions on next steps for some of the items that we were covering, just so we can continue to make progress on this study and move things forward. As was mentioned, we do have our consultants on the line, so they'll be available to answer some of the questions if needed. I do also want to reference that in your packet, you have a pretty robust amount of materials, a longer version of this presentation, a city allocation of revenue and ridership impacts for each of the options considered, an analysis of low income maps for both Valley Metro and some of our peer agencies. And we do have a FAIR study executive summary in your packet. There is a full version of the study upon request as well. On the screen, you do see the 10 items that we covered in the previous study session. Some of those do have bolded font on them. And those are the items that we really want to focus on today, considering the next steps of how we can move those items forward. I also think it's important to remember that today is really informational to provide an overview of the information we previously provided and the updates that were requested. Any of the items that we do discuss today would have additional analysis, including a Title VI analysis for many of them, some ongoing outreach and public outreach that would be required, and then of course the formal fair policy process. So if we do decide that any of these items are worthy of going on to the next steps, there would be additional steps required before they are adopted as a formal policy. The first item that I'm going to cover that we discussed in the previous study session is a reduced fare program for veterans. We currently have reduced fare available for disabled veterans, but it is not extended beyond that group. Veterans are 5% of our ridership, and over half of them are currently eligible for some kind of reduced fare. In October, we provided what the impact of the ridership and revenue would be for introducing a reduced fare for all veterans. That's also shown on the screen today. During that discussion, we also had questions and a lot of robust discussion about offering free fares for veterans. So one of the items we took back was analyzing what it would look like to provide a free fare for all veterans. As you can see in the packet, expanding from a reduced fare for veterans to making it a free fare would more than double the revenue impacts of offering that option. That information is detailed in your packet for your information as well. Based on the discussion that we had on the previous study session, as well as that analysis that was done, we have proposed what next steps might look like for offering a reduced fare for all veterans. As I previously mentioned, this is not a decision that's being made today. It would require additional analysis of our current system. We would have to go through a Title VI analysis, as well as do public outreach and engaging with the cities to ensure that this is an item that can move forward. And then we would come back to the board at a later date for an update, as well as potential adoption of this fare policy change. I do want to pause there and see if there are any questions on that item.
Yeah, I got a question. With this, is this based on the current fare structure? So let's say, for instance, I don't know exactly how much the current fare, let's say it's $1 right now. Let's say all the fares is $1. When you look, when we look at this particular item, we're looking at the percentage of what a veteran would get discounted, not the actual dollar amount. We're not saying like, hey, here go a quarter. We're saying like, if the fares is $1 today, then they're getting 50 cents off of it because it's a 50% decrease versus saying there's a dollar amount allocated to that reduction, correct?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Council Member. Yes, the discussion on this item would be including our veterans in our reduced fare existing program. So it would be a $1 per boarding fare, which aligns with reduced fare that's available for seniors, youth, and people with disabilities. So it would be a reduced fare on the current fare. It would just fall within that same program. It would expand it.
Because we're adding, okay, so we're expanding. Okay,
correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
All right, the next item that we discussed in the previous study session was reduced fare for express and rapid bus service. Currently, express and rapid bus service does not have a reduced fare available. All boardings are a $3.25 fare. In the discussion previously, we looked at 3 different options for offering reduced fare for express and rapid service, which included a half price of the express and rapid price, a $1 reduced fare, which would match what our current reduced fare is for our other services. And then we also looked at making the express and rapid pricing align with our local service for all riders. The revenue and ridership impacts that you see on the screen have a range because it's a range of options that were provided. Of course, the range is based on which of the items would move forward. We did provide some additional information in your packet regarding express and rapid ridership. 26.7% of our ridership would be qualified for reduced fare, but I also think it's really important to note that for express and rapid service, 83% of the revenue and 80% of the ridership is through our Platinum program. So the program where employers and other entities provide a card for their constituents to ride. The other thing I also think is really important on this item to remember is that the City of Phoenix is planning to do a pilot of extended rapid service on 2 rapid routes this year. And if that pilot were to move forward, because it's offering service for a longer period on the off-peak hours, we would actually be required to offer a reduced fare per the FTA guidelines. So not only is this a good benefit for reduced fare qualified riders, it also may be a requirement if that pilot were to move forward. Based on that information, we do think that the best route forward would probably be the $1 reduced fare, and that is because it aligns with our current reduced fare for our other services and provides a seamless customer experience for reduced fare qualified individuals. I will pause there on that item.
Madam Chair?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, just wanted to ask you specifically, the rapid, it says that you're going to be so the reduced fare ridership program and the revenues that it brings, are we talking about reduction of total revenue dollars when we're looking at the rapid reduced fare alternatives? Then we're talking about another reduction of revenues?
This would be a reduction, could be a reduction depending on the ridership impact, simply because we don't currently offer a reduced fare on any express or rapid service. So it would really depend on the ridership weighing that out.
Okay, okay, so that's going back to slide number 7. If we go back to slide number 7.
Yeah.
So this is basically will be in addition, if we add this program, then we're gonna lose revenue of 0.1 million to 0.4 million. Is that?
The range that is shown on the screen is accounting for the 3 different options available that were presented previously. So if we were to move forward to next steps, we would just select the option of option 2, for example, and we would come back with additional analysis on the revenue impact prior to making any change to the program. So that would be part of the next steps, would be to do further analysis on which of these options would move forward to ensure that we have a full understanding of what the impact could be.
And then my last question is, with your analysis, is this analysis pressed against impacts to inflation as well? Or is this just you've taken the current situation that we're in today, you haven't necessarily did the full analysis on inflation? Is that including inflation? Is that excluding?
Great question, thank you. This is simply based on our current ridership and revenue impacts.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure. Anybody else have any questions? I just want to make a comment that I'm nervous about losing more money. That concerns me a great deal. So that's just for my little opinion here about it.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you.
All right, going on to the next.
Laura?
That's okay. I'll ask it.
Okay, go ahead.
The next item was the residential pass program. We covered in our previous study session that some agencies have chosen to provide a special program for residential developments to offer discounts or special pass pricing, especially as residential developments continue to increase along transit corridors. Based on the discussion that we had in the previous study session, as well as some discussion with our peers, we think that the best opportunity at this time would be to promote our currently existing programs, such as the Platinum program or group fares, to residential developments, rather than developing a whole new program specifically for these agencies. So we don't necessarily think that the new program would be warranted at this time. That might be something that we consider down the road. However, we do think that the increase in marketing could give us a better understanding of the appetite for these types of programs. That is a good transition right into the next item, which was the increased marketing of past programs. Again, we covered in our previous discussion some of the items that we've established with the new fare system and ways to make these programs more efficient and more attractive to organizations and public entities. We believe, as I just mentioned in our the last section here, that increased marketing and more targeted marketing of these programs would be really valuable to the agency. So as we look at these options to introduce new fare programs or adjustments, we do also think that there's some additional marketing warranted to help increase the attractiveness of the programs and hopefully the participation, which we have seen with the launch of the new fare system as well.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
And just want to go back to the other page right quick. Oh, no, sorry. go the other way. Go back to increased marketing
Yep,
pass.
sure.
Pass program. What was the cost? What was do you have the estimated cost of what the marketing part, if we was to say yes, and this, do you have an estimated range of what that will cost in terms of marketing?
We don't right now. I think if this item were to move forward, we would continue to evaluate where we want to target. We do have some marketing budget specifically for the fare system allocated, and we would determine if additional would be needed and where we'd want to have that focus if this were to continue forward.
Do you have a range?
Not right now. We could come back with that though.
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair.
You bet. Any other questions? Okay, seeing no hands. All right, go ahead.
All right, the next item is our transfer policy alternatives. We currently do not have transfers within our system. It is a pay per boarding system, which has been our fare policy for quite some time. We did evaluate other options for introducing transfers, either for light rail only, to transfer between the A and B lines, or for electronic transfers, which would mean if you're using a copper card or a mobile app, you would have a free transfer period within a certain amount of time. As we mentioned in our previous study session, when we do evaluate offering a transfer on top of the smart fare or fare capping system that our new fare system provides, there's not a ton of added value for our customers. Most individuals who use our system, if they're using a copper card, are going to pay up to the $4 daily fare, and they can ride as many times as they want on that $4. So adding a transfer, a free transfer window on top of that really doesn't provide a lot of value to those customers. Really, the only value for a transfer would be for a single trip in a one direction, and that you're not going to make a return trip later that day. Based on that discussion previously, as well as some of the information I just provided, we would suggest looking at some enhancements to comply with our current fare policy to make a better user experience when you're purchasing a one-ride pass for the light rail. I think there are some adjustments that we could make to make that a little more seamless for our customers, but also to still be compliant with our current fare policy. We also think that the new fare system will give us a lot of data and information down the road for future discussions. If we were to want to consider a transfer policy, we'll have a lot of trends and analysis that we can provide with the new fare collection system data to determine whether that's warranted. Any questions on that one?
Questions? Nope, go ahead.
All right, special event pass program. So we currently do have a special event pass program which provides some discounts for special events. We did provide some of those details in the previous study session. The item that we discussed previously was to offer or to look at offering a menu of options that would be available to make the special event pricing more attractive to those event organizers. That might include discounts for volumes, so volume discounts of buying passes, or maybe adjusting some of the current pass pricing to make it, again, more attractive to those events.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yes, so just going back, tell me about a couple of events, or just name a couple of events that you think that this would fit within that scope.
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of like music festivals that happen, like Tempe Beach Park. I know we talked about last time, where we're not currently getting a lot of activation of using transit for those events, at least not sponsored and as a part of the event experience. So I think those types of larger community events would be a great fit for this type of menu of services. And within our pass program right now, we have a couple different ways we can offer that. We have a ticket partnership program, which is for the largest scale events in the region. And then the special events pass that I'm mentioning here would provide actual passes for maybe a more medium-sized event.
And Madam, okay, so for this particular program, how does that make more money for the organization? How does that equate to more dollars into Valley Metro, I guess is my question. Because if we do the program, I'm all about doing special programs, but I just want to know what's the return on investment for Valley Metro is my question, or CEO.
Yeah.
If I may, Councilmember Harris, Madam Chair, members of the board, for a special event program, if we think about our system, especially our rail system, the way we're positioned, operating through downtown Phoenix, connecting directly to the airport, operating through Tempe, we know that we're home to many events. I see convention, I'm downtown every day, and there are convention attendees everywhere. And then there are event by day, and there are event attendees everywhere by night. currently we don't have a pass program that we could offer in partnership with, for instance, the convention center. If we had a pass program, imagine we're partnering with convention center, they're bringing a conference to town. We can work with them to offer a pass. They can have that information, download the app, download their special event pass before they ever land at Sky Harbor and think about getting a Waymo downtown instead of Valley Metro Light Rail. So that's really the benefit. It's to boost ridership because we're already built for this. We're already connecting to so many of our major event venues, but we want to increase the share of transit utilization for those events and programs. We already have some partnerships that I can point to, such as the partnership with the Phoenix Arena. So visitors who are attending residents attending a Mercury or Suns game or a concert at that location. Right now, it's a flash pass. They're using their ticket to show our fare inspectors that they've got a valid pass. This is really evolving that program and growing that program. And it's also creating a tool that we can use to capture the revenue associated with those boardings.
Yeah, so if it's possible that, like, I appreciate that's what
Like
you
the
just
Final
shared.
Four
Right.
mentioned.
Is there a
Final Four
way,
pass.
is there a way that you can, for this particular slide, like I like what you were saying, in terms of the ROI, what you just named, how that comes back to Valley Metro, if there's a way that we can do a projected idea of what that ROI for us doing a special events, even if it's marking the data point of, hey, we now have obtained 100,000 more riders because we did this. It brought in additional revenue to the region, and that number looks estimated like this. So I just kind of want to see what that kind of looks like from a numbers perspective, based on, like, just based on a projection. I know it's a projection, but just based on that, if you can do that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
Is that doable?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
And Councilmember?
Yes, as you were talking, I was thinking of just the recent tech conference that happened in Phoenix. There were so many attendees at Phoenix Civic Plaza. It literally broke the escalators. First time it had ever happened. Too many people in one building, right? I'm sure the fire department loved that. But what that says to me is people are coming from all over the valley to get there, which is the opportunity to build this up, like what we were talking earlier, making sure that all of the representatives of this board can push out that information. This would, because right now in Scottsdale, in a week, we will have the largest PGA event in the world happening in Scottsdale. We should be getting bang for the buck on that, right? Valley Metro should, not just Phoenix. Phoenix has the name, but it happens in Scottsdale. I'm just saying. But with that being said, I'm thinking of all these events where you can market, if they're in Scottsdale, if it's easier to bus them to the light rail for the resorts straight down Scottsdale Road to get to Tempe, to bring them in straight from Tempe or from Mesa into Phoenix for these events. I'm thinking of the Final Four. I'm thinking of the Waste Management Open, this Digicon, all these events that happen. And that event that broke the escalators, how come I can't think of what it was called?
It was a semiconductor.
The semiconductor one. It's
Semicon.
coming back to
Semicon.
Phoenix next year. This is prime because these are tech geeks. No offense to anybody, but they'll be right on it. They'll want to use those passes.
Yeah.
So I see huge success for this if it's, properly implemented. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts.
All right.
Madam Chair, Councilmember, I think that's the right thing about this. This is really trying to make sure that it's attractive both to the event organizers as well as the attendees to use transit to get to those events that are already so connected.
To the travel agencies, talking to the travel agencies about that are packaging this for the companies that are coming to these events.
Very good.
I'm excited.
This could be huge. Okay, yes.
My question's a little bit different. We want people to ride our transit. And I know we're giving this discount. So I'm going backwards. How many people need to be riding the transit system to break even? Because I don't want to lose money. And so I'm working backwards and saying, all right, in order to reach this goal of where we are today what is it going to take to make that happen? That's one question. The second question is Phoenix is not the only one close to a transit system, so is Mesa. And Tempe probably attracts many people. So this has to be really, I know we're talking Phoenix, and I know it's going to be a regional conversation, but really being deliberative on how we're going to go about doing this. And really it goes into the marketing. It's really in the marketing phase and those relationships and building that. And so I think that's critical in that sense. I do know the medium size and the small size events only because I had a conversation about this. A lot of people don't take the transit at that moment. It's really the big events
Right.
and the mega events that this pretty much works in, unless there's no parking, literally no parking around that event. So those are some things to think of.
All right. Do you want to respond?
Just to your question, Madam Chair, members of the board, Councilmember Pastor, the break-even point, which was your question, I think is a very relevant question for this conversation. So if you introduce any new pass program, how do we know if we broke even? And with that, it's the average fare that riders are paying across the system, because there are many different pass types. And if I buy a monthly pass, my average fare is really the dollars I paid for that monthly pass divided by the amount of boardings I made. So if your average fare goes up or remains constant, then you've broken even, at worst. If your average fare erodes, then we have dipped into our revenue stream. So I think that's the good barometer, and it's something that we track.
Good. Jimmy has something.
I just, again, want to point out that the East Valley and Central Phoenix are not the only places that have large-scale events. Glendale certainly has, I don't know if they win or not, but they have the Cardinals, and traffic is horrendous over there. So some type of, sorry, Cardinals, some type of,
Warren pops up right when you said that. Sorry.
some type of transportation options would be great for that. There's the Glendale Arena that has big concerts. There's the Phoenix Raceway that is in Avondale. I know for a fact they have one of the largest New Year's Eve EDM festivals. I can't confirm or deny that I have gone to something like that before, but just transportation options for special events across the region, not just in the East Valley and Central Phoenix, would always be welcome to us on the west side. Thank you. And you can always connect to our micro transit system in Tolleson too, because that's awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. In the interest of time, can we move on?
Yeah, going on to the next one. The next one is the semester pass program pricing. We do currently offer a semester pass, which is typically targeted for the community colleges and provides a 20% discount on the semester's worth of travel. I do want to mention, as we did last time, that this is separate from the Platinum program and the ASU pass, which is a little bit different structure. This is a per semester pass. As in addition to the information we previously provided, we also have included revenue information using this most recent fiscal year's data on college revenue overall. So this includes the ASU pass, the Platinum pass, individuals who might paying their fare their own way, as well as the light rail one rides and cash options. Our recommendation to move on this item would be to continue to have conversation with the community college to ensure that whatever we determine may be a good path forward, it was best for the community colleges and their students, and obviously for us as the agency. We did previously pause the semester pass during this transition of the new fare system, and as of this semester, it has been reintroduced. So we'll also have more data on the usage of that semester pass program from this semester and moving forward to really get a better understanding of the current climate and how it might be used and how it could potentially evolve over time.
Okay, I think a council member.
I have a question with that because there was a very good system that worked with the community college. And as you can see, passes were not purchased from 22 and we're now starting 26. My question is, why did we leave that money on off the table?
Part of the reason was the decline in the usage of the semester pass. So that had declined, especially around COVID. And then there was a pause as we got the new fare system up and running and available to them. They were still purchasing passes. So you can see in the revenue that was provided, the revenue that was coming in from the community colleges would have been under the group fares program. So the bookstores were still engaged and they were still actually purchasing monthly passes. So we're actually going to be introducing the semester pass this semester, and they're basically transitioning from the once a month pass into the semester pass, which is a long-term pass for the students.
I think the challenge you're going to have with the community colleges is that each system, each program has different buckets of money for transportation, and they want to purchase single passes. And so you're going to have a challenge with that because they're not going to be able to stretch their dollar for their students. And, but you can test it.
Madam Chair and Council Member, we actually right now, as I mentioned, we are having the semester pass reintroduced, but they're also still purchasing day passes and monthly passes. So I think that'll give us a good sense of their usage now that both are available and see what works best for those colleges.
All right, can we wrap up this item?
Yep.
Okay.
On to the
I
next
have
one.
counseled, so that's,
So the next item is the review of our past pricing and multiples. I'll keep it short. We did provide a justification of our current past pricing and multiples by comparing it to our peers, and we do feel like we are in line with our peers at this time. Our new system, as I mentioned, provides a lot greater detail of data and analysis that we can do down the road, and we think at this time our best option to move forward would be to continue to analyze the usage of our system and our pricing, and at a later date on a triennial basis, review our fare policy to determine if future changes would be necessary. The last item we combined into one, which was previously two different items, is the social services fare income for low-income individuals. In October, we presented two different options for how this could be done. There's a lot of discussion around these items, specifically about who would qualify and the potential revenue impacts, which you can see again on the screen here. Your packet includes an in-depth low-income analysis and maps comparing the Valley Metro service area and modes to our peers as well. As a follow-up to that request and that additional analysis that we did find that there was no significant difference between bus and rail related to low-income status. That said, compared to our peers included in the packet that you have, Valley Metro service area does have the highest poverty rate of those peers that were analyzed. Given the significant considerations and revenue impacts of this item, we also think that this is one we should continue the conversation about, use the data that we have available to us, and continue to have this as a part of the ongoing review of our fare policy down the road. Any questions on that item?
any questions?
We're trying to move it.
I'll have it at the end. Madam Chair, I'll have questions at the end.
Okay.
All right.
Are we at the end of his presentation?
Yep, we're almost done. So I just want to mention, we do have a lot of youth program information in the packet that was brought up as a part of the discussion last time. We wanted to make sure that we answered the questions that were presented about the various programs that are available and the potential for more across the region. So in consideration of time, I will let you kind of read the summary slides there. As I mentioned during the presentation, we do have 4 items that we think are worthy of the additional analysis and consideration that would be required to move forward. But of course, we are looking for your guidance on those 4 items and whether or not additional analysis and information should be provided. And then as a reminder, any of the items that do move forward in the next steps would require that additional analysis and the full fare policy process before they are adopted. So no change would be made based on today's discussion. It really would be moving on to the next steps for consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I think it's really good, the analysis that's going on. The one thing that I would like to come back here is this is great, but I'm also looking at the numbers and the bottom line. I would like to have the impact to inflation considered, because right now, although I'm looking at the numbers and they're going down, and at this point, I'm trying to make sure that we establish our bottom line with some of the regional financial events that is taking place. So what I would like to see happen is this report be the basis of impact inflation report and what a fee analysis will look like today, 2026, perhaps going into 2027, and bring it back with those comparisons of numbers so I can better reflect on if this is conducive to the regional environment, or is this more so, is this just more so us expanding what we're doing and not being financially responsible and making sure that we're regionally generating funds that actually helps move Valley Metro forward. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we will now do current events and suggested future agenda items. Do we have any members of the committee that have any current events or suggested future agenda items for consideration? Yes.
I just wanted to share a little story really quick. On Sunday, I go to church at Trinity Cathedral, which is on Central and Roosevelt, so the light rail is right there. I lifted to church on Sunday morning because I had to pick up my car. So I took the light rail. I was able to use the app successfully. I was laughing at myself because I couldn't figure out that QR code thing on the app. I kept trying to get a camera to open, but in your presentation, there's a picture that you put it under. It took me three different tries on 3 different occasions to figure that out. But anyway, I finally got it to work. I just wanted to say that this was the best light rail experience that I've ever had. I've been on the light rail a handful of times throughout the years, coming from concerts or various things. And it was very peaceful. It was calm. It feels like a totally different vibe on the light rail now, which I think is amazing. I know the heightened security and past checks, it's just really making a difference. It felt clean. There was a slew of characters, along the ride. It was kind of entertaining. And I took the light rail down to the 7th Avenue and Camelback stop. So you can probably guess where I was picking my car up from. Yeah, it was. But it was a great ride. I can see how the app is really convenient once you figure out, that piece of it. And so I just wanted to commend everyone on great work. That's it.
Thanks. Future agenda items is our what we're on right now.
Madam Chair, item number 7.
Well, I'm sorry, future agenda, it's both. It's current events or suggested future agenda items.
I didn't hear travel expenditures.
Is somebody talking?
It's Max.
It's Max.
Oh, Max.
Can't hear
we
you.
can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Item number 7, travel expenditures.
Max,
Echoing.
we can't hear you, Max.
Hear you.
Oh, she's muted now. Okay. She's talking to somebody.
She was talking to someone.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Anyone have, let's go with current events first.
Madam Chair, I think Councilmember White was saying we missed agenda item number 7.
Oh, we did. Yes, we did miss it. Thank you. I'm sorry. I've been up since 3, so I'm getting a little punchy here. Travel and expenditures. Okay. Yes, 7. Thank you, Max.
It's just for information. If there are any questions, we're happy to answer.
Any questions about travel? Seeing none, we'll report on current events and suggested future agenda items. So do we have current events? I have the Innings Festivals at the end of February. So that is going to be a huge event. I believe it's sold out. And so that's going to be in Tempe.
I have 2.
Yes, go ahead.
Currently this week, we have Barrett Jackson auto auction at Westworld in Scottsdale through this Sunday. And then next week, we have the largest PGA event in the world happening, the Waste Management Open in Scottsdale, even though it's called the Phoenix Open.
Yeah, very good. Odie, do you have anything?
I got future agenda item.
Okay, let's do events first and then we'll go to that. Any other events that we should know about? Okay, seeing none, go ahead, Odie.
Yeah, just in correlation to what the board was directing the fee structure to look like, I would like to have a full report analysis on impacts to inflation in terms of our fee structure and our ride and our financial the financial cast for that progress up. Are we in line with where we are financially in terms of impacts to inflation? Because things have went up in the community. So I just kind of want to Do you already have something like that?
We don't. Thank you, Councilmember Harris, Madam Chair, members of the board. We have not increased fares at Valley Metro in a number of years. The fare policy piece, which is what Dane was following up on today, is really the foundation of our fare structure and pricing. And so that is an item that's scheduled to come to the board. So I don't know that we've got that agendized yet in terms of a month, but we will certainly work with the chair and the team to schedule that for 2026. We are due to have a conversation on fare structure and pricing.
So
Great.
fare structure, pricing, and capital improvement impacts to inflation as well. So we know that things are going up in costs. So I just wanted to make sure that we have a steady hand with what's the impact, what's our cost going up.
So to be clear, I think you're asking for an informational presentation about inflationary impacts to capital projects.
Yes.
We'd
Those
be
two
happy.
things, the fee and that, what you just said.
Yeah, probably separate items. We'd be
Yes.
happy to have those conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Any other future agenda items? Seeing none, our next meeting will be joint meeting will be scheduled for Thursday, February 19th, 2026 at 11:15 a.m. Meeting is adjourned. Didn't ask for a motion.
That's okay. You're fine. Everybody would have said that.
Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry, I'm exhausted.
I'm done with this meeting. I'm like, we're done
She
with
needs to
this.
go run another meeting.